Bulgarian to explain this strange name, and I'm professor of marketing at EDHEC Business School, which is not very far from here. One of our campuses is in Lille, and we have another one in Nice. This one is far, but yeah, the main one is in Lille. And I'm here to present an academic research article and further research work on the topic that Pascal announced, stereotypes, gender stereotypes in video games. And I'm here also on behalf of my colleague and friend, Ager, who is currently in a plane and she couldn't join us for the conference. She's professor of management, again, also in EDHEC Business School, and she's the director of our chair of diversity and inclusion, which explains the topics of our research. Then to introduce the importance of the topic, a very hot topic you might know, Magla, which is a French streamer on video games, and she was a victim of cyberbullying. And I gave the definition, but of course you're aware about the definition. And the good thing is that the person who was harassing her, he got judged and condemned with prison, and that was because the judge was a woman, and she came across a post from Magla, and she came again, called her, and they started again the procedure, which was classé sans suite, as we say in French, previously. That brings the importance of women and women as gamers in the industry. To elaborate on Magla, she was also victim of other actions, such as deep fakes, and this is one example I put on screen. But Magla from 2022 Gate is not the only one. There is another very important, you might be aware of this one as well, from 2014. Then it's a recurrent topic in the industry. And we, with my colleague and friend, as I said, Ager, we decided to work on this topic and to see how narratives in RPG game, role-playing games, they represent gender stereotypes and how they are reproduced in those narratives. This article has been published in an academic journal called the International Journal of Arts Management. It's a journal specialized on arts, and this echoes the presentation maybe you didn't listen to the presentation, the speaker just before this one, but he was explaining that video games are not always recognized as an art. And this is an example that this art management journal, since 5-6 years, they have recognized video games as an art, and they have included video games in their journal. Plus, in their conferences, there is always a dedicated section for video games. And you have the full reference on the screen. And if you're interested, it's not available for free, but please don't hesitate to join me on LinkedIn, and I can privately share with you the article. Then the main conclusions of this article are on two main aspects. First, on the narratives. Game narratives, indeed, they show prevalent numerical and speech presence of male characters in the storytelling, in the plot of the game. Male characters, they are assigned with better professions, and narratives, they choose history-based plots in order to justify these gender stereotypes in the storytelling of the game. I will come back to this. And as a result, female players, they accept these gender-biased representations as legitimate, and they adapt their expectations toward the game and the narratives. Adaptation means that they accept to have less playable female characters. They accept as normal and legitimate that those female characters, they speak less, etc. And by passive inertia, those female players, they accept also, and they even choose male playable characters, even when female playable characters are available. We worked on 2 games. As I said, our focus were story-based games and role-playing games, RPG games. They are the perfect illustration for this topic. And we worked on 2 games, Assassin's Creed Saga and The Witcher, with the 3 editions. Why? Because they're RPG, and because also they have several editions, and they started at the same time, actually. The first one, The Witcher and Assassin's Creed, they started in 2007. And yeah, we checked that all those story-based games, they are most popular one, and as you can see, Assassin's Creed is categorized as action and adventure, and The Witcher as RPG. Sorry. You want to take a picture? Then this is the main results of our study, and we used. I will not go in details about the method, but we used basically Python coding. And we retrieved from fandom pages the scripts from those 2 games, and we analyzed with 2 codes in Python the proportion of male-female characters and the time of speech. Here you have the results for Assassin's Creed 2007, then the first edition, and the same for The Witcher in 2015 edition. As you can see, Witcher 2015 is a little bit better, but still there is a big discrepancy. And we also interviewed gamers, female and male gamers, about those, but the filter question was they needed to play or played once at least to one of those 2 games or to both, and we asked for their motivation to play video game. And as you can see, the results by gender, women, they play mostly because the game, it's a place to socialize, and men because it's a place for a self-accomplishment. Why is that important to talk about this topic? Because, as you know, the audience of video games is huge. The audience of video games have increased drastically, especially the last years and after the pandemic, and it's much more important than cinema and music, for example. It's important also because, as I said, on societal level, video games are gaining recognition. And in France, for example, since 2006, then, long time ago now, the Ministry of Culture has recognized video games as the 10th art, then exactly like sculpture, painting, or any cinema, music. This is a cultural product. Then this is as cinema can educate audiences, can have a responsibility how narratives in movies, films, they represent our society. It's exactly the same for video games. And as you can see in 2023 now, almost 50% of the world's population is playing video games. And all producers from the industry, me as a teacher on cultural marketing, we have this responsibility to pay attention to the meaning we deliver to the audiences. And if we look at the repartition by gender of the players, as you can see, girls, they play as much as boys. And there is no reason why in the plots, in the narratives, we have less female characters. And whatever the age group, as you can see, surprisingly maybe. And in terms of, you remember one of my last results in the first slide was about the professions and how the professions, they are assigned to the characters in the narratives. That was the second big part of our study, and this is the same from the narratives, from the plot. We retrieved the different roles and professions from the two games, The Witcher and Assassin's Creed. I on purpose kept all the professions, and I will come back to this. For the female chart, for the male chart, it's not easy to read because males, they are assigned with a wider range of professions. As you can see throughout the all editions of The Witcher and Assassin's Creed, we have count 36 different professions, and you have some examples there, always from the high hierarchy of the society professions. And for the female professions, we have counted only 10, and they are either from the caregiving sphere, which is exactly what the gender stereotypes in society are. In the game, we had healers, nurse, waitress. This is from the caring sphere, or heavily influenced by the women as sexual objects. And here we have courtesan, prostitute as examples from the games. And why the title of our article? Actually, the idea came from one of our respondents who, during the interviews, quoted Marie-Antoinette and Napoleon. And he said, at the time of Napoleon, no woman is known to have done great things. In video games, there are more male characters. It is a transcription of history. When you meet Napoleon as a character in a video game, he is going to be more impressive than Marie-Antoinette for what he did historically. For me, this is not a discrimination, but fact. Historical figures are represented in video games as in reality. And then you remember our result from the beginning. This is something recurrent in video games, and especially in Assassin's Creed. As you know, they have different sagas with historical moments. And to some extent, they take these historical moments to illustrate the plot, which is good. But also, in this case, it legitimates the gender stereotypes. And we have a joke with my co-author, Ager. Why that? Because in video games, characters, they fly, you have dragons. This is not historical. And why we need to be so close to history when it comes to characters, male, female characters? Are video games designed and are designed by men for men? We tried to investigate this, and indeed in the e-sport, but this is changing, in the e-sport industry, we have predominantly male players. They are also put forward by the e-sport organizers, but again, this is less and less the case, and this is a good, a positive sign from the industry. When you look at the industry, the game developers are mostly men. One explanation is that they're engineers. And as you know, this is also a stereotype that girls, they are less skilled to be engineers, which is, of course, false. But from the young childhood, we are repeating this to young girls, and maybe they lack of self-confidence to go to these professions. In the female characters, as I said, we have less women represented. We have less playable character, female playable character represented. They are very often sexualized and portrayed as non-essential, non-playable, or just background without even names. They're just background characters. And those type of stereotypes, they are advertised in commercials, in advertisement. I didn't bring the video, but usually I'm using a video from FIFA. The last FIFA video you can check online, and again, you see some girls, but they never touch the pad to play. A boy is playing, actually, is on FIFA, and when she arrives at a certain moment behind the player, he just made the wrong movement and he lost the point, and she's just reconforting him, which is again the caring stereotype. As I said, gender stereotypes, they are well established in society since decades, and this is how we assign roles to girls. They are more in the artistic sphere, they are more sensitive, they are more emotional, as you can see, and boys, they are more in the reflection, in the technical sphere, engineers, okay, they are better in math. This is the stereotypes. And the stereotypes, whatever, here we are talking about gender stereotypes, but the stereotypes are shared beliefs about personal characteristics or behaviors, and they are specific to a group of people. And the negative side of stereotypes, we have also good stereotypes, positive stereotypes, but the negative side of those negative stereotypes are that we are categorizing people, we are putting them into boxes, and it becomes negative when we have negative judgment toward those category of people. When we talk to gamers and we ask them, is that important to have female characters in games? As you can see, for boys, it's not very important, while for girls, it's very important. Then it's really, here we have a call for change from even the players and the consumers, let's say, of the video games. As I said, the things are changing, and here are some good examples, good practices. First, Lara Croft. Maybe you know the story. You might say, oh, but Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, this is a very old game, and you see the main character is a girl, and the main character is a playable character. But I don't know if you know the story of this, how it happened that she was a long time ago the main character. Actually, at the beginning, the main character was designed as a boy. And the studio, they thought that it's too close to Indiana Jones' plot, and they were afraid about plagiarism, to be accused of plagiarism, and they decided to move to a female character, which was indeed disruptively different from the gender. And you can see how the physical appearance of Lara Croft has changed throughout the years. At the beginning, she was very sexualized, but now she's much less, which is a very good thing. And that shows that the editor is changing. And again, I cited some examples, and I will cite more, which are the examples to be improved, but we need to give also the possibility to those editors to change. And this is one example. Another example is Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a very good game. And again, here we have a female character as a main character. And The Last of Us, this is also a beautiful game where Ellie and Joel, they are playing together, and they are playable characters, and a very good example of gender inclusivity. I talked about the industry, and here we listed some of the professions from the industry. And you remember I said predominantly developers, they are men, and that might be explained because of the engineering profession. But even though we have more male engineers, developers, that's okay. This is not the only one profession needed when it comes to edit and write a video game. Here we have some examples where, especially in RPG games, you need to develop a story. Then you need someone to write the story. And you remember, we said that maybe here we can embark some women which are story writer. Same, we have art directors, game designers, we have marketeers. In my class in Lille, I have 80% in the specialization in marketing. They are women. Then we might have those professions where we have more female representation included in the game development. When we started working on this project, we published the article, and we didn't stop there. We wanted to go further and to change the industries and the profession. And you might be aware about the Bechdel test in the cinema industry, which is mainly a test of 3 questions. And the 3 questions are there 2 women in the movie? Are they named? And do they speak at a certain moment together, only 2 of them, but not about a man? And then we got inspiration from this test, and as you know, Bechdel test is now a reference in the cinema industry. To give an example, for example, when CNC, which is a not-for-profit organization in France, giving subsidiaries and sponsorship to cinema producers, they use the Bechdel test to know if the plot is inclusive, and according to this, they give or they don't give sponsorship to the plot. And here it's the impact of the Bechdel test. Here it's an example of consumer-generated, audience-generated site where you have since 90s actually the different cinema plots, and the consumers they pass the test for all those cinema, all those movies. And as you can see, where you have the red one, the red color, it means that the 3 questions, the answer was no. Orange is 1. Yellow, it's 2, and when you have the green, it's yes for 3 of them. Then it's the green, it's increasing, which is a good point. And then we got inspiration from this one, and we created a test we called Test for Diversity and Inclusion in Gaming. And here is our method. We focused, as I said, only on story-based video games and bestsellers. Then we evaluate the best-selling of how they are bestsellers according to the number of games sold. And we have tested 51 video games for the moment, published between 91 and 2022. And we used, as I said previously, the same methodology as for our research article. It was a Python coding, what's known as web scraping, with the plots from fandom pages. And we adapted the questions to the video games, and we came up with 5 questions. Are there an equal number of speaking female and male characters in the game? Are there an equal number of named female and male characters who speak? Do female and male characters have equal speaking time? Can players embody an equal number of female and male characters? Then here it's about the playable characters. And the last one is about professions. Are professions and statuses equally distributed among female and male characters? And then, to give you some examples, actually, the objective of this test is to make it is open source. Then if you're interested, again, contact us, and we would like to have this test on more and more games, a little bit like the example I showed with movies, and of course to raise the awareness among the industry and apply it when the industry, the editors, they develop a new video game. Then for the first question, and I give you the results for each question with the overall results, and then I will give you the top example and the worst. Then here we have for the first question, are there an equal number of speaking female and male characters? As you can see, the answer is no for the 51 games. And you have the distribution throughout the years. And in terms of examples, the best is Resident Evil Village from 2021, then very recent game, where the percentage of female characters is 48, which is almost 50, very good example. And the worst is 2007 Assassin's Creed, where we have only 4% of female characters. And again, I love Ubisoft. And by the way, Guillermo, the founder, is one of the alumni of our school. Then we love Ubisoft at EDHEC, but and this is 2007. And again, in the new editions of Assassin's Creed, we have more female characters, and we have also more focus on other stereotypes such as LGBTQ or neurodivergent characters. Then it's moving also at Ubisoft. The second question is, are there an equal number of named female and male characters who speak? Then again, here we have a huge number of no for 49 games out of 51. And the best are God of War, old game, but maybe because of the plot. But again, you can choose the plot which gives you the way to be inclusive, because here we have god and goddess, and then again the antique times they were maybe more inclusive in terms of god and goddess. And the worst, again, Assassin's Creed 2007 with only 6% of named female characters. The third one is, do female and male characters have equal speaking time? No, for 46, and a huge exception is Tomb Raider with Lara Croft. But you know the story. Then it's by chance that Lara Croft was the main character of the license, and then we have, by chance, let's say, from 2008, the best Lara Croft as Tomb Raider, and the worst is AC Chronicles India 2007, again Assassin's Creed, where we have only 3% of speaking time for female characters. Question number 4, can players embody an equal number of playable female and male characters? And no for 33 games out of 51. And here it's a patchwork of some best examples, as you can see, and some worst examples. Here we have all this, they have 17% of playable female characters, and on the opposite 43 for games where they don't have at all female playable characters. And the last question was about professions, and we listed on the left side. You can see the different types of professions and the different types of characters and their professions in the games, and the tables on the right with the main conclusion is that male characters, they are mainly in the tanks category, while for the female, again, they are subordinate, they are more in the support functions, and again, we have these gender stereotypes like in our articles. And now it's up to you, if you're from the industry, to change that, because it's the same, exactly the same in businesses, not only in the video game industry, but overall in all businesses. We should ask ourselves if an equal number of women and men the voice is given to equal number of women and men in the company, if they are part of the board or the higher institutions in a company. And you know what? Another research shows that if you have only a limited number of female representatives in the COMEX or the board of a company, it's not enough, because those women, they tend to behave like men, because they feel vulnerable. And you need to have a certain level achieved, which is, if I remember well from the research, it's at least 30% and 1/3, in order that those women, they feel confident to speak and to really to share their real thoughts. If not, they feel that they are lucky to be there with men and they behave like men. Then you need to have a certain amount also of women at those visible positions. And pay attention when you organize meetings. Do you give the equal time for your colleagues, women and men, and how you manage the speaking time, and what are the roles women they have in your company, and what kind of statuses and professions they have in your company. Then again, I will be very happy to continue this discussion with you now immediately with the questions, and afterwards via email or the social networks, LinkedIn, Instagram. And again, the chair, diversity inclusion at EDHEC, it's an important voice for the society. And here I presented a work on gender stereotypes, but we work also on plenty of other subjects, and one of the last topic is, for example, how neurodivergence is represented in medias, in newspapers, and, for example, in movies. And to give you a brief highlight of we have just finished our paper, and it's submitted for a conference in Lisboa next year. For example, medias and cinema, they tend to present negatively. We did a sentiment analysis, And neurodivergent people, bipolar, schizophrenic, depression, they are always represented as negative by in the articles, in the newspapers. And in cinema, if you think about how they are represented, it's again, if you think about Split, Glass, Shutter Island, schizophrenic people, they are always killer, murderer, assassins. Autists, they're all savant, while like Rain Man, for example, or The Good Doctor, while this is a very small proportion in the autism disorder, only 20% or even less of autists, they have this high intellectual abilities. Then it's very important in all types of stereotypes how we, even though we are not concerned personally, physically, how we present them in our storytelling in order to influence in a positive way the society. I will be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, GUERGANA, for this very interesting and useful presentation. So yes, is there any question in the audience? Yeah.
Thank you so much, and congratulations to present this very insightful and very much needed, I guess, research. So thank you very much for giving that voice to, women out there thinking this is a problem, and really supported by data. I think it really helps. So thank you for that, and congratulations again. And my question is related to, you were thinking about how it's much needed to have women in positions of power. And I was wondering if the fact that there's a lack of women in positions of power in game developer industry, it's actually an influence that really creates this stereotype, typical character representation in the storytelling. Because you show some statistics around 61% of men are game developers, but I'm wondering if there's data around how many women versus men are in positions of power in those game developer companies. Thank you.
Thank you for your question and for the congratulations. It's really, it's a personal passion also. As I said, with Fager, we try to fight for that. But yeah, very good question. And we don't have the numbers, but we have numbers about all industry. We don't have the numbers for the video game industry, but we have the numbers for the industries in general, and this is why that was my conclusion. And I guess the video game industry is not an exception. We don't have enough women at those very high hierarchy positions. And that, to some extent, might explain. But also, we might have men who are fighting for equal distribution of representation of characters in video games. Then I see here we have all gender represented. Then hopefully the number of women at those board COMEX positions will increase. And by the way, for those coming in from France, there is Women in Game. This is a huge association, and we are in contact with them, and they also contribute to raise the voice and to increase the number of women in the industry and at these high-level positions. But indeed, yeah, we need more of that to change.
Another question?
Hi, thank you for the talk. I was wondering because, obviously it's all very insightful. If you had any data, in the similar vein, also regarding representations of different ethnicities, gender identities, because I do believe those are all also extremely connected to representation of genders in the games industry. So I was wondering if you were already tracking, planning on making a different study on the subject.
Yeah, thank you. And indeed, as I said, stereotypes are not only gender. Here we have chosen gender because to make it simple, it's maybe one of the most, for the moment, the society, it's very sensitive to this one. It's easy also to access. Because if I take the example of ethnicity, and I agree, we need to research on that as well, but in France it's forbidden to ask someone about the ethnicity, which is not the case in the Anglo-Saxon culture. For example, in the United States, you can ask, and yesterday I filled a form from Canada, and to access the site, I was obliged to fill this form about diversity inclusion, and they were asking me how I identify myself in terms of ethnicity. This is forbidden in France. Then, of course, we can do it for the characters, but as in the society and in the industries is not allowed. This is kind of bias and okay. But you're completely right that this is a very important question. And at Ubisoft, for example, for some years now, they have recruited a diversity inclusion director. And we, at EDHEC, and at the chair, we work with her very closely, Raphaël Lalo. And she put in place, and this is initiative from the Ubisoft, employees resource groups, ERGs. Other companies are also putting in place those ones. And they have, at Ubisoft, they have 17 different groups across the world because they have studios everywhere. It's generated by the employees. And I'm talking about this example because they have one outside France, which is on ethnicity. They have another one on neurodivergent employees. They have others on religion. And to give a clear how they use them, those are resources, and it's a very clever way to use them as such. For example, she gave us example, for example, when they launch a new video game, as I said, most of the time, Assassin's Creed, it's historically based. And they had a question about, in a mosque, are you from the religion, are you allowed to show a sword? And they asked those communities, which are employees, and beforehand, they corrected the plot. Of course, it's not allowed. But they didn't know. And that allows using those resources, internal resources. They are, the groups are based at voluntary base. They don't pay them, but they have time to advocate. And same for neurodivergent or for ethnicity. They have 17 employees resource group. Then to some extent, that can help also.
Thank you.
Very interesting, thank you. Another question? No, that's all for today.
If that's okay, I have one.
Yeah, of course.
You were, at the beginning, you mentioned, of course, the percentage of men and women players and the fact that it's pretty much 50-50. We often hear the idea that having a female protagonist in a video game would usually be less, so like on a marketing or like business standpoint of like, there won't be as many people who'd want to play it because our main target are men and they will not like be able to identify with a female protagonist. But as we saw in the numbers, it's not exactly true because there's a lot of female gamers as well. Has that changed, or have you seen perhaps like, is it just slowly changing, or like, because on a purely business standpoint, this argument doesn't necessarily make sense?
Thank you, and thank you for the question, because that brings me another very important point, which is, how do you identify to a character? This is very important, and how do you choose it? In the gaming, it's about mechanics, and then one important thing is when we play a game, we want to win. I disagree with Pierre de Coubertin, who was saying that participating is the most important. No, if you participate, you need to win, or at least you need to. Then to answer your question, I guess here we have players of Fortnite. No? No one? Fortnite, they have many female characters played by male players. Why? Because the skins are made in a certain manner that you are thinner as you are a female, and it's more difficult to shoot. Then in this case, for Fortnite, those skins, female skins, are very much used by male players because they give performance. Then that was the idea with the mechanics. We can do the same in use performance, again, like the previous speaker. Mechanics in a video game are very important. Then we can use that in order to make more appealing female characters. Yeah. Thank you.
Last question?
Oh, sorry.
No? Time to eat? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pascal.